Mike messes with music, installing a HyVibe System 1 on a Kremona F65C classical guitar. Hi, I'm Mike, and I like to mess with music. Today, I'm going to be installing a HyVibe System 1 on a classical guitar. This is my second install of a HyVibe unit. The first was on a Ibanez Concord 645 that's about 40 years old, and it went quite okay, but I bumbled my way through it. It was my first install. There were some things to learn along the way, some things I tried that didn't work, and so I'm going to have a much better experience this time to share with you. Hopefully be able to give you some tips on what went wrong the first time, what caused me problems, and what I've learned to make this installation process a little smoother. I'm going to be installing it on this Kremona Soloist F65C. I bought this guitar just 2 days ago. I had intended to install on that Yamaha you see on the back wall back there. I've had it for 40 years. Very sentimental. It's starting to pitch. I'm afraid the neck is starting to go a little bit, so I thought to put these electronics on a clean new guitar would be the right way to go. So I got this this beautiful Bulgarian-made Kremona, and it plays beautifully. I'm really enjoying it, but I can expect that when I put this this unit in and add all these effects, the amplification, if you're not familiar with what the HyVibe does, it basically turns the guitar into its own amplifier. So the sound comes out the sound hole, comes out of the guitar itself. This has a solid top, this guitar, so that we should get a beautiful resonance, and we should get some amazing effects. The effects include looping, a tuner, a metronome, and a huge selection of effects. I expect the reverb and the chorus to be really good, and booster could also be really good coming out of this guitar. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it can do. So without any further ado, let's jump in and let's install the HyVibe System 1 on a Kremona 65C. Okay, let's take a look at what components are included in the HyVibe System 1 kit. Starting with the system unit itself, which I've fully charged before starting the installation. In fact, I've connected it with Bluetooth to my phone and downloaded the latest firmware update, so this is all ready to go. Interesting note, I had a problem with this unit, no problem at all with the first unit, but this unit, when I did that firmware update, it bricked the unit. I contacted HyVibe on their video on their website, and their chat guys helped me through it, and we were able to fix up the problem in no time. So great support from HyVibe, as well as a really great unit. So this unit is what gives you all the control. You turn it on. It has a tuner, effects, a looper, a metronome, a speaker where you can actually use the unit as a Bluetooth speaker, which is the first way we're going to test this. A USB connection, which is how I was able to revive it, because I connected it to my computer through this USB connection cable that comes with the kit, USB-A to USB-C. And you can also connect a MIDI pedal to it, which is something I haven't played with yet. And then, you know, all these units, all these capabilities are at your fingertips. So we've seen the system unit, which provides the amplification and all the effects. This is what's going to mount in the back end of the guitar to give us an input and an output. So you can input and output. Output goes to an amplifier. You've got a USB-C, which is goes with this cable, or also the charging cable. So you can either charge it or connect it to a computer with the USB-C. These cables obviously connect into the unit, and putting it all together blind inside of the guitar is part of the real fun, and hopefully something I learned how to do a little better, so I can show you how to do that more easily. Unit comes with a set of templates. You drill the hole on the cross pieces here where the crosses come together, and then you draw a line, and you're basically drawing pretty much along the lines that the outside diameter of this template are. Comes with a frame, which you might use depending on your guitar and how you like it sitting on the guitar. I found that it rose it too much and didn't like that. I ended up using the foam
on my last guitar. We'll see which fits best on this guitar. Comes with these little clasps which you affix to the inside of the side, and then all the cabling will all go against the side of the guitar rather than rolling around, wrapping around inside the guitar. So I had trouble getting these in the first time. Hopefully I've learned something and we can do a better job on it this next time. Comes with the screws that you need for mounting this unit and the unit on the back. The piezo, which goes under the saddle of the guitar, and this is how it picks up the sounds, and this is what it's going to amplify. The thickness of this needs to be shaved off of the saddle so that the saddle sits as the saddle does now. So I'll be doing a bit of a sanding job on the saddle that's on there now, and that of course plugs into the unit. And last but obviously not least, what turns this guitar into a speaker, turns it into an amplified device, are these actuators, which go on either side of the bridge and need to be mounted in a clear space with on the wood. And obviously the intention is that you're gluing just this edge, just this inside edge here, and it is affixed to the guitar with the super glue. Which brings me to the equipment that I'm using. Obviously, needed a drill for this. Need a Dremel saw is the ideal saw to make the cut. Then on the drill side, you drill the holes around there with a 10mm drill bit, which in the U.S. the closest that we can come to that is a 3/8 and a 3/16 for drilling the hole for the piezo strip. Here I have an 1.5 inch, which effectively close to 40mm hole saw, and that's for drilling the hole for the back of the guitar. All new drill bits. I bought everything new. I think that's the right way to do it. Painter's tape for making sure that the cuts are clean and no splintering. The glue I'm using to affix the actuators is Loctite gel control super glue. What I found you also want to have is you want to have a super glue cleaner. It's because you're going to get super glue on your fingers. You're going to get super glue on things you don't want to glue together. And having this handy is really important for making this all work. A straight edge to cut to draw the lines, and a marker, of course, to do that. So that's all the equipment that you need to get going. So let's go and get going with this job.
Okay, one of the things that I do a little out of sequence to the instructions that HyVibe provides is that I like to put the hole under the saddle before I mount the actuators. And so I pull off the saddle, which we'll be getting to a little later to sand it down, and I'm going to be putting this piezo strip will be going into that ridge. And so I like to put the hole, and I'm using a 1/8 inch drill, which is the closest thing, 3.2mm to the 3mm they asked for. And I like to take the drill bit and push it butt down into the hole and feel around to see where that is now and where I'm going to be able to put the actuators that won't be interfered with by the piezo strip. So that's a difference in the way that I do it from the instructions, but I really believe that it's my best bet because I don't know the insides of the guitar well enough to know that I'm going to have a clean difference from where I want to put the actuators and where this is going to go. I certainly don't want to go drilling through an actuator when I drill that hole. So next step we're going to take a look at is what to do with the saddle that is going to be now sitting on top of a piezo strip. So one of the things I learned the first time that we did this was that when you glue these in place, when you glue the first one in place, you need to make sure that you've got enough clearance to get the second one where you can put glue on it. If you were too far over, then you wouldn't be able to get on top of this, and you wouldn't be able to easily get glue onto the actuator mounting ring. So I'm going to put this first one in, and I'm just testing out where I expect to put it in. I expect to put it right here, and that should give me clearance to put the second ring on, and then the second one is going to go right here. And then this I've stretched this out so that I know that it will be able to reach to here, because what we're going to do is we're going to then, once we get it mounted, we're going to put the attach the system and test it with Bluetooth to see that it's transmitting and that the speakers are working without any vibrations or humming or problems, before we go drilling the big holes in the sides of the guitar and in the back. So that's our next step. I'm going to be mounting these actuators. Now I'm applying the gel glue very carefully, because I don't want to get it on the speaker part at all. I don't want to get it anywhere it shouldn't be. Now the gel glue is a little sticky, a little tacky, but on my first attempt I followed advice from a friend that said that he thought I should turn the guitar upside down so that the glue would set down. That was a mistake, because the glue fell off, got all over my fingers, all over the guitar. So this time we're going straight up. We're mounting it with in an upward position, finding the spot that I wanted for it right there, and I'm holding it. It said for 10 seconds. I'm holding it for a bit longer than 10 seconds, so I'll spare you the watching me hold something dry. Now, before I put the second actuator on, I wiped the area that I had drilled over on this other side. I don't want there to be any dust particles to inhibit the glue from sticking. I'm putting the second gel bead on, and I will stick this actuator right over here. So when we come back, this should all be dry. Well, I've now connected the amplifier and effect unit to the two actuators that are now mounted here and here and here on the guitar top. And I'm trying to learn how to play Leanda myself. I'm really at the very beginning stages, so I'm just interested to see what this guitar might sound like when the Leanda is being played by somebody who knows what he's doing. So let's see if the Bluetooth works. Well, that's great. Now all I have to do is hold the guitar and move my fingers around, and people will think I'm a wonderful guitarist. But that's amazing, right? The sound that is coming out of this, you can't appreciate it, with this microphone and such. But it really had a resonance, and it's the guitar playing. It's just amazing. So now it's time to start cutting holes in her. I'm applying a good painter's tape to the area that I'm going to be cutting. I want to make sure that there's no splintering, and that the edges are as smooth as possible, and this really helps. Put that tape down there nice and tight. Now if we take the template that we were given, and we take a pair of scissors and we cut the outside of that. And we're going to tape this on where we think will be the best fit. Now, we're looking for the flattest spot, and of course, guitars don't have flat spots to speak of, but flat is, if I were to put it here, for instance, that would make a big bow, and that would make it very difficult. So I'm sliding it where I feel I'm getting the least resistance to, I'm getting the most flattest. I think that's right about there. Now the other side of this is that I want to make sure it's centered. So I take a rule and measure off of the end of the guitar. That can be right. Okay. Measure twice, cut once. Measure a hell of a lot more than twice. Measure is right. Got it. Okay. Well, we're ready to drill. Oh my. I'm going to go to the highest speed setting I can on the drill mode. And I still hold my breath. There's one. 4. Okay. The drilling has begun. For peace of mind, I'll take this frame and I'll lay it up there and just say, okay, is that about right? That looks just about right. So if we cut, if we now draw lines between the tops and edges of these circles, and we should have the lines we need to fit the unit. Okay, well, looking at the frame again. Okay, that should be right. Okay, I'm putting this Dremel tool on the highest speed it can, laying my hand on the guitar to hold it steady, and let's hope for the best. Set off the smoke detectors in the house. Well, if I thought I was on a straight edge, I guess I can tell pretty well that I'm not. It's definitely a curved part of that guitar. Every part of that guitar is curved. And I touched and I ended up touching the finish over here, which really is a shame. But okay, well, out of interest, let's see if it fits. Close. I found, as the last time I found, is just a matter of sanding. So I'll do some hand sanding now, and we'll finish this off. Well, you can see the hole's now there and fairly straightened out. Remove the tape. The unit fits in to the hole, and there's a little bit of a wobble because obviously it's on a curve. If you look at the piece that we cut out, it definitely shows you that this was a curved piece of the guitar, like every other part of the guitar. So I might use the foam like I did on the last guitar, to mount this in. What I also found is I have to mount this in before I start connecting the cables, because otherwise you don't get the clearance you need to mount the cables. I'm going to cut the hole in the back now, and that's because that's really very helpful, using the light so that you can see what you're doing when you're working on the inside of the guitar, trying to get these connections made. Before I put that in, I'm going to play with the connections on the outside so I can get a feel for how to put the connections in. If you look at the connectors, you'll see that there is a slot on the lower half of the connector. So you know you need to align the lower half, the slot on the lower half. And we've got the actuators, input and output, which you'll need to be careful of when you identify which one's input and which one's output, because the connectors are identical. And then you've got the USB-C, which is for the charging and for the connection to the computer, and you've got the go into the mini plug that goes in for the piezo strip. So all that coming up, and we'll see how we handle drilling the hole in the back. Okay, now we're going to mark where we want this the input and output jack to go. Obviously it's going to go in the center, so right in the middle. As long as we get the middle, we're fine. And a little up, a little down doesn't really matter, but I think we want to go before the turn of the guitar. We want to be right about here. So I'll mark the spot. Okay, and here we go for this cut. There we go. That's a pretty easy cut. Make a nice smooth cut. Great. And there we go. Ready for the output and inputs. So I have vacuumed out the guitar and tried to get out any of the particulate material that's left in there. When looking at the input-output jack, notice that the white is on the input. So when you're putting this together and you want to put it into the input, which is on the left, then it'll be the white one, and then the black one goes to the right. USB-C is obvious, and the other is the actuators, and those are and obviously the piezo. Mounting the piezo is quite easy once you figure it out. And what I found was that it is easiest to push the drill bit down, the back end of the drill bit down, and use that to follow up into the hole. That is the easiest way that I found on the last guitar. Let's see if it works on this one. Yes, it does. That is the easiest way to do that. Once we have sanded down the saddle, we'll put that in place, like so. Right now it would stand right up and fall over. It wouldn't work at all. So that is our next step on that regard. Okay. Well, measuring the piezo strip, it's 2 millimeters, and so I've taken a 2 millimeter swig off of the bottom of the saddle. That's where I'll sand down to this level. I marked the side, which is the number 1 string, so that I don't get it mixed up. That will be a lot of hand sanding, but it'll get the job done. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to have to use the foam piece with the adhesive on it to close up the gap, so that there isn't a gaping hole on the front and back of this because of the arch that's here where we mounted it. The first time I did this, I didn't give it a good snug fit before I started fitting it, and that made it so it squeezed out when I was trying to screw through it. So I'm giving it a good squeeze to fit, making sure that it's nice and attached before I drop it in the hole. Lesson learned. Oh, the other lesson learned, I did get super glue on my fingers. When you're putting the actuators on, use 2 fingers and move 1 finger up and down so that you don't end up holding it with 1 finger that has any super glue on it, and you end up with a real problem, okay, with your fingers stuck inside the guitar. So move both fingers, just in case you got any glue on them at all, that you don't get caught, okay? But then when you're done, use a little bit of this on your fingers, and the super glue dissolves right off. Okay, so now we've got this. It's going to fit perfectly in that hole. I'm going to use a drill to do a starter to get these screws in. Without it, you could spin all day long, and you could ruin the head of the screw. So that's the next step. Okay. Just enough to start it. Make sure that you get the right size head screwdriver. It's a very tiny Phillips head, and if you use too small a one, you'll end up stripping it out, which I did on one of them on the other guitar. So be very careful of that. I think I've got the right size head there now, and I'm hoping that it's going to catch in that hole that I just piloted. Seems to be. I really don't know. You know, sometimes I find with these tiny screws, it's best to go to a flathead that fits across the slot, and that you get a better bite. Right there, I felt like it slipped on me, and I thought I had the right size head this time. Yep, back to the drawing board. Yeah, that did it. I went to a flathead and got it countersunk. Now I'm going to do the opposite side. These are the longer of the 2 sets of screws. We've got short ones and long ones. You want the longer ones for this part. The shorter ones will go back here in the input outputs. Going to drill that hole first. More than I bargained for that time. Okay, we've got whatever went wrong there. I have no idea what went wrong there.
see how difficult it could be. I just got the input in. It took me quite a while. Next I'm going to try for the output, and I found bending it 90 degrees makes it so that you can cramp your hand up there and get it in. Well, I've got it done. Got the HyVibe unit mounted, got the input-output all put in. I'll tell you that the little tiny screws are harder than you think, so be prepared, have the right screwdriver set, and drill a tap hole. And in this particular case with this laminated guitar, really hard to get through, so it was an interesting exercise. But everything seems to be working. I'm going to put the strings back on. Let's see how she does. Okay, just a couple of things, just make a comparison of how it sounds without any effects or amplification on, and what makes it sound different with the HyVibe on. We just want to hear the difference between how the guitar sounds with and without the effects and the boosting. So I'm going to play a few chords naturally, and then I'll put the reverb on and see what difference that makes. With reverb, with turning up the lever all the way, let's see what it sounds like. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for watching Mike mess with music, and this installation of a beautiful Kremona guitar with an incredible HyVibe sound system. I'll try and come up with some more fun things for you all to watch, and keep on messing with music.